Hey everybody, it is Jordan Fox. I'm just going to be showing you how to do a little bit of a liner with the eyes as well as lashes. Keep in mind that I am not a professional by any stretch of the imagination, but I do just kind of want to show you some tips and tricks that I've learned that actually made me want to continue learning how to do face-ups on dolls, things that I found really daunting. And maybe some stuff that might help you a little bit better. I just got some brushes in that I'm quite pleased with, so as you can see, I'm working on my Hyperon right now. I do have some layers of MSC and a little bit of blushing on him already, just because I was practicing my blushing, and so I'm not sure if this will be my final face up or not, but it is getting better than what I have been doing previously. But I just thought that I would start here with the lines so that you can kind of see and figure out things with me. Brushes, they have like different kinds of numbers and stuff on them. Like this brush here is a 20/0. I'm not sure if you can see those numbers there or not, but the line of the brush is actually quite thin, and this was one that I was using for quite a while. But my face-up artist who does all my other stuff, Jade Garden BJD, I ask her questions all the time because I get very easily frustrated with the tools and stuff that I'm using, or if things aren't going right. And so she often will tell me things that are very helpful. So one of the first things that I learned was that I was using acrylic paint, which I found to be rather difficult because every time I would do a line and I'd mess it up, I would basically have to start all over again because it wouldn't erase very well. And so that was her first thing to me, was to tell me to try using gouache paints. So this is gouache. There are different kinds, I believe. There's oil and stuff like that. So you want to get oil-free products as much as possible. So gouache, I found, was a lot easier to use because it's erasable. And by that I mean you can use a little bit of water to get rid of it with a Q-tip. But another trick she gave me was to take a toothpick and to put some cotton fibers at the end there, and then you can do some finer work, which is how I was able to get such a fine line on my over the lid lines on him. So for that, I literally just got some cotton pads. So they look like this. Can't pull the damn thing apart with these gloves. And then you just pull the fiber off of it. I don't usually wear gloves when I'm doing this. And then you just put it at the end and twist. And then that makes like a little thinner cotton bud that you can use. So less cotton obviously will give you a much finer point. Just put it in and twist. And then that gives you a cotton bud. And then how you erase with it is you just take some water and you dip that in there, and then that'll give you a good way to give you a nice line as it erases it. Now this has MSC over it already, so I can't erase that to show you, but I am going to do lashes so that you can see what we're doing. So first things first, you don't have to do the blushing or anything on him to do that, to do like the practicing of this. If you don't want to practice on the face up, you could just use the head cap to do practices. And the other thing you want to do as well is to wipe some of the paint off on paper, and just kind of do a few lines until you kind of get it the consistency that you want. But she was telling me that even this brush is too thick, and so what I've been doing is picking up different brushes. Now nail brushes apparently are the way to go. That's what she uses. So you can see this is about the same, and that's like a liner brush. And these ones have millimeters on them as well. So this one's an 8mm. This one's a 12mm, so we're getting thinner, but longer. This guy's crazy long, he's 25mm. I don't know why I gender the brushes, don't tell him, I don't know, I have no idea. This one's a 4mm, but still nice and thin. And then we got a 20mm. So you can see that they're all different kind of lengths. So I'm probably gonna try, let's see, I'll probably try the 12mm just because a longer brush, it's gonna hold more paint up in here, so you'll have a chance to do more lashes as the paint draws down the brush. And you can see the difference between that and my 20/0 artist paintbrush, which is actually made for painting, whereas this is made for nails. And so I feel like I'm going to get a much finer line with it. And you don't have to use black, which is what I've been using with most dolls. Some people use gray, and that's good too. It'll give you a little bit more of like a lighter line. And so yeah, so that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to get my paint mixed in, and then we will go from there. So to mix in the paint, like I said, I use gel gouache. There's the regular gouache that you can get in the tubes from like Winsor & Newton's. All that stuff is fine. This was a little bit more pliable or malleable when I bought it, but because I've had this open already now for a little while, it's a little bit more like a cream. So the consistency that you want is to be like a cream consistency, at least that's what my artist tells me. So we'll stick with the 12, give that a shot. Put these aside. And so you'll just want to scoop a little out and then mix it into your palette. You can use anything to scoop. I just use something like this. And you don't need a lot. Like that's probably too much. But you gotta start somewhere. So I'll just smush it down. And then actually I use one of these guys to just draw some of the water out. And then that way I can just put it in a little at a time and stir it up. So I'll just start with like a drop or two. Let's try two. And then you want to stir. So it'll probably be too thick, so I'm going to add another drop. It's just taking a little bit longer because, like I said, it's turned into like a cream or like a gel. It's been open too long. This is where it might be better to have and use the stuff that comes in the tubes. The tubes are less likely to dry out, although I have had tubes dry out as well. Now you can use dried out gouache if you're hard up for money or whatever. I've done it, or if you can't get the stuff in that you want, you just got to reactivate it, sit it with water for a while, stir for like a really long time. Well, it looks like it might be about it, but don't get rid of your toothpick or your thing of water because you're going to try to use it again if you need to. And so, like I said, I'm going to use my 12mm liner brush. It's better to have something that's a little bit longer because as the paint goes out, you want something so that you can flick the paint, which makes the lash line go thin as you go along. But you're going to test it out first. Just dip it in there and see what you're getting out of the paintbrush. So you can see that paint is drying pretty quickly, which means it's probably a little too wet, but you're still going to get some good hairs out of it. So you can see like how fine of a line I'm getting, which is nice, but I'm also still globbing some paint. So it's better to test it over and over again on a piece of paper. So it looks like I need to put some more water maybe in there. Put another drop. The consistency of the paint is actually what's going to do it well for you. And if you have to go back and forth to get that consistency, just keep adding more gouache. Pour more water. When you need to use so little of it, then it's not that big of a deal. Now, a lot of people like to wear gloves while they are painting their dolls' faces, but I don't, just because I don't want to. But I don't know, everybody has their preferences, so do what makes you happy and comfortable. Now, I always kind of anchor my hand onto the guy. I probably don't use gloves because I'm very dry. And then you just want to give it a shot. So you can see my paint texture is not very good. And I also forgot to add powder to the bottom of the eye, which is helpful. So this is where our little cotton bud trick will come into play. If it's kind of fat still at the end and you need a clearer line, you can just pull it off like that. And then these lines aren't too bad, but I want them to be thinner. And so see, it just takes it off like that. So this was the thing that actually made me stop doing face-ups, was these stupid paint not giving me the chance to do it over again, and then I went through so much MSC putting it back in there. So because that side's wet, I'm going to leave it for now, and I'm going to use the other side and start that until the side we just did is dry. And then I just take a brush, which is what I forgot to do the first time, and you want to give a little bit of powder at the bottom to make the paint stick. So I use paint, or like a color that's like very similar to his head color. So I would use this one or this one because it's kind of in between. This is a powder you're not really going to see this color on him. And I've already got it shaved out on the side here. And then you just go like that and plop it on there. It gives the paint something to stick to, my artist says. And then just do it a couple of times. I'm trying to do this face up a little bit more like natural, so. Okay, so wet your brush, try it again. paint off there. So it looks like my paint consistency is still a little too thick. I'm not going to go through the whole face up with you guys. This is basically just a hair and lash tutorial. I'm not confident enough yet to do lashes on the hairs that are on the eyebrow, but everything comes with time, and like I said, I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier for you guys. I did have a person on my Instagram list who was struggling with lashes, and so I promised them that I would make a little tutorial to give them some hints and tips and tricks on what it is that I do. Those lines. This brush is amazing. Thank you, Jade Garden BJD. She is incredible and has helped me with a lot of things for my dolls that I wouldn't be able to know otherwise. This is also a little difficult to do because I'm doing it sideways so the camera can see what I'm doing. I've seen some people do the lashes curved and they look so realistic, but I'm not quite there yet. So sometimes I just go over it a few times to give the layers of the lashes, so that's not bad. I like that. Draw off the paint. A few lines. So yeah, it looks like the nail brushes are the way to go if you're not very sure. Some people do stylistic eyelashes. I don't. I just try and wing it until it looks good. Don't be surprised if you end up erasing and do it 100 times before you get them right, the way that you like them. And I always find that I do one side and it looks really good, and then I do the other side and it looks like crap. So, like I said, just keep practicing. So these nail art brushes that I got on Amazon, they were really cheap. I think they were $14 and I got 5 of them. But that's in Canadian, so if you are in the States, it'd probably be a lot cheaper. Again, I am not a professional by any stretch of the imagination. I have painted a few of my dolls enough that I'm happy with them. But that being said, if you have any questions, you can just go ahead and drop me a little line on the bottom there, and I will be more than happy to help you out if I can. And if not, I can always ask my face-up artist, Jade, and I'm sure she will give me the answers we are looking for. She's been doing art for many years, and she's always been very impressive to me. She just goes, I'm gonna paint this horse, and then she paints a freaking horse, and I'm like, it's ridiculously good. Now this is a guy, so I don't want to get too overly lashy with him. And I am really chuffed with how this brush is working out compared to actual artists' brushes, I'm not gonna lie. Look how thin that is. And paint whatever way makes you comfortable. Unbelievable. Those are so fine and perfect. I can't even with it right now. So I've got one lash here that's a little too long for my liking. So we're going to use the Q-tip trick. And all you gotta do is go boop, like that. And let that dry. Awesome. So I don't know if you can see, but I got my first layer of lashes done, and I actually really like the direction of all of them for the first time ever in my life. So I think this brush is a savior. So I'm going to go ahead and put another level of MSC, and then I'm going to continue painting and hope that this time it comes through, because this is probably the 5th time I've been painting this freaking doll. Not too bad. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day.